Before we begin, let's everyone take a deep breath in. Just hold it for a second and let it all out. Everyone chill a little bit, okay? Okay. We have a few things to get to before we get to the meat of this, but this is really important. First off, sorry for the audio quality. My microphone's out of battery, but I wanted to get this posted relatively quickly. And hopefully I sound okay using the onboard mic, because I haven't used the onboard mic in literally years. Before we get to the real meat of this, since we are going to be talking Patreon in this video, I wanted to get my new patrons, as well as a few that have been waiting very patiently, their due thank you. I want to start doing my thank yous for the Patreon donations on camera rather than just a stupid little credit at the end of a video that no one really cares about. Because I want you to hear that I am grateful, whether it is like a $30 donation every month or a $1 donation every month. It means the world to me. So I'm going to list off thank yous, and if I'm going to abbreviate names because I don't know who wants me to use, who's okay putting their full name out there or not. So let me thank you to Lord Bear 92, John G.R., Christina D., Keith A., Les M. Let's see, I'm going through. Whitney Brittany, it cuts off. It's Whitney Brittany Basket, which I'm pretty sure is not the real name. Red Exorcist, Megatron, probably not the real Megatron. KCT, I am so sorry. Evgeny A. Lumpy, Shadow Ryu, Sam B. Sorry, I almost tried to read the last name. I remembered I wasn't doing that. Mike S. El Nero Diablos Studios, Telemachus 2814, Joseph T, Justin W, the real Hebo Man. Really happy it's not the fake Hebo Man. Joseph FP, and Aether. Thank you guys tremendously. I know why most of you contributed to that. The concerns for the future, wanting to see me continue, and that is amazing. Whatever I do to make you guys think I deserve to keep going, thank you. I genuinely appreciate it. So, I wanted to get that out of the way because we have an update. And believe it or not, it's a really encouraging update, so people, we can calm down a little bit here. Some rational minds can start to come through and break through the Discord, because I'm tired of hearing it about this on my Discord, which has been buzzing, because I went from like a dozen people to over 100, which is kind of awesome. It's in the description below if you want to join. So, we've all been freaking out over COPA and the FTC and all the new guidelines on YouTube and what it all means, because they're so freaking vague and we didn't know what was going on. Well, now we actually know what's going on, because the FTC did something I didn't expect them to do. They clarified it. They posted an update on the FTC website, and they actually addressed a lot of things that have been coming up normally. So, there's a bunch of little takeaways from it, and then there's some really major ones, which are the ones we really should be listening to and honestly taking some comfort from. So the little ones are things like they know kids are going to watch videos no matter what, so they're not going to hold it all against you, so that's fine. And that the $42,000 fine per video is a maximum. It is not a defined thing. It's a case-by-case basis. Not that you want to incur any fine, but, it's nice to know that it probably wouldn't send someone straight into poverty. So, those are the small takeaways. The more important ones begin as they start clarifying what exactly the guidelines they gave to YouTube mean. And for those who don't know, YouTube got a set of guidelines, 8 of them, from the FTC that they use to determine whether or not a video is actually for kids. Everyone was freaking out because these were so broad and the terminology was so broad that they thought that if you meet any one of these, you're breaking COPA, you're getting fined into the ground, and your entire life is over. Calm down. Not what it means. They actually did state that just because you fall under one of those categories or guidelines, that doesn't mean you are violating COPA. That's a really important thing because toy reviews, we only violate one. We feature toys on camera. That's really the only one that we are guilty of. The rest of the guidelines are things like, do kids feature in your videos? Generally not for a toy review, unless you're that one who has his own toy line because his channel's so big. Do you feature animated characters? No. Do you feature simplified language that children can understand? No. Reviews have to speak of things that are very boring for children and speak to very intelligent audiences. Let's see. Things like, do you sing poems or songs that are catchy for kids? No. Do you feature bright, flashy colors that would be attention-grabbing for kids? No. In fact, we try to go out of our way to make the backgrounds of our videos as dull as possible to contrast the toy better. You know, really, as it comes down to it, we only qualify for one of the 8 guidelines. So, that in itself pretty much puts us in the clear. But what followed, with the other things they explained, actually was a little bit better than even that. Because they started talking about media that was traditionally known to be for kids, and acknowledging that not every video that did that was specifically aimed at children. The one they love to use as an example was animation and cartoons, but it is a stand-in for any media that is traditionally thought of as children's. They did clarify that just because that your video features heavily features or focuses on a cartoon character does not mean it is a video made for kids. The biggest line, the most important line that I drew from their new explanation was that they drew a difference between animation that was aimed at kids and animation that was aimed at all audiences. And that's a really important distinction for a lot of reasons. One, they acknowledge that something that is family-friendly isn't necessarily something for kids. That there is a difference between something that anyone in the family can watch and something that only kids could watch. And it also means they're looking at context. I think a lot of people got really freaked out that they would see like a channel full of thumbnails of toys and popular kids characters and go, boom, drop the hammer on it. That's not the case. They are, as if they are investigating a channel, they're looking at the context of the channel, not simply what it looks like on a surface level. And that's why the guidelines include things like, do you speak to your audience in simple language? Because that by itself is a really big way of determining whether or not a video is for kids or not. It also basically clarifies that they are looking at videos aimed squarely at children that are very obviously made for children. Not so much the toy reviews of the world, but the Baby Sharks of the world. And it was probably Baby Shark going viral that probably caused all this in the first place. So that's really what they're targeting. That's what they're looking for. And to think that a government organization as tiny as the FTC was really going to investigate millions of different users that could fit under any possible definition of a violation was kind of absurd, because it's literally not possible for them to do. They made it clear. They know there's a gray area. They know that it's not just what the surface level is, and it is more than 1 or 2 factors that makes your video for kids or not. Basically, you have to be intentionally and obviously, blatantly making videos for kids and lying about it. That's what they are going after. That's what it's meant to target. And to put the final little cap on this, apparently Erin Hanson of the Game Grumps, who posted a really good thing, this good thread on his Twitter account, detailing exactly the first real details of logic to kind of break through the chaos and the panic, which is a really good read. It was a really nice, calming read. And one of the things that he spoke of was he is aware that the channels that really have to worry about this, that are actually going to be the ones that the FTC are keeping an eye on, were directly contacted by YouTube. I have not gotten a phone call from YouTube, so I'm going to assume a toy review is safe. You know, I'm going to assume most reviews are safe in general because reviews by their nature target consumers who want to make informed buying decisions. And that generally means people who earn and can spend their own money. Not something a kid under the age of 13 can generally do. So by their very nature, I think that clears toy reviews. But because they made it clear that they are aware of a gray area and that they are looking at context and that they can make a difference between something for teens, something for adults, something for kids, and something for all ages, that tells me that they are not going to be targeting what we do. This little genre of YouTube is, I firmly believe, safe. So can we all please calm down now? Can we stop sharing around all these panic videos of people who got half of the facts, or people who think that COPA is this brand new thing that's dropping down on us and ruining all the internet? COPA's been around since 1998. It's not a brand new conspiracy, people. So, I honestly think we're fine. So everyone cool it. Everyone calm down. We can move on with our lives, and this time next year, we're probably going to be talking about how silly we were acting through all of this and preparing for the next acronym that's going to ruin the internet. Because there's always an acronym coming down the pipe that's going to ruin the internet. And it never actually happens, so chill. Okay, so let's move beyond that. I'm tired of COPA. I'm tired of the FTC. We are going to move on with the assumption that we are all perfectly fine and life will move on. That said, it brings to light something that I've been feeling for months now, for a long time, and that is that I generally don't trust YouTube anymore as a platform, as the hand that feeds me, because the policies change so often. There's always something different coming down the line. Like, we're already worried about another super vague policy change that's going to come into effect next month about, you know, being able to delete your channel if it is not commercially viable, which a lot of people are panicking because it sounds like it doesn't make enough money. If that was true, they'd just kick you out of the partner program. They'd just demonetize you completely. Which, by the way, even if YouTube does say that my videos are for kids and shuts me down completely, it's not a complete shutdown. I don't need another host. I don't need to go to another website. I can still post videos here. I can still make revenue. It's just not as much revenue. I can still get, you know, as a subscriber, you would still see my videos. You know, if you follow me on Twitter, you would still know exactly when a brand new video went up. So everyone calm down over that too. Even if I had to jump ship, it's not a viable option compared to just sticking around and putting up with the nonsense. But I'm tired of putting up with the nonsense. I would love to just not have to worry about dependency on YouTube's revenue service, you know? I'd like to be able to break free of that a little bit, and that's kind of where Patreon has to come in, because it's really the only viable option for something like that. So this whole panic made me reevaluate what I was doing on Patreon and how I could make it beneficial for everybody going forward, and I hit on an idea that I actually really, really like. And I've gone ahead and I've reworked my Patreon account in order to go with this new plan. Now, before I state this, before we go on, the names at the beginning of this video, I understand that over all of these COPA and FTC panics and the videos I posted earlier this week, I am aware that a lot of you put in a pledge at my Patreon out of fear, or because you're really worried that something really bad was going to happen to this channel. So I don't want that to be the case. I don't want anyone who has heard this and seen the FTC's explanation and feels confident now that this channel and reviews in general are going to be safe. I don't want to feel like you have to keep pledging, or that I may have forced you or pressured you or frightened you into pledging if you feel like it is not necessary now. So I am going to invite anyone from that list to revoke your pledge, and I don't hold it against anybody. If you think everything's fine and you only pledged out of fear, then I don't want to take advantage of that. You can go ahead and take it off, and I will not hold it against anybody. Okay? So I want to get that out of the way first. But what I want my Patreon to do, and I acknowledge my production schedule this year has been awful. I've barely gotten anything done. I've barely posted any videos of any kind outside. Most of what I posted this year has been, please buy my stuff on eBay. You know, and I'm kind of setting up for another big eBay sale, so I might have to make another one. But that's really not fair to you guys, and it's really not fair to my patrons. Frankly, I probably don't deserve a Patreon and the people who are generous enough to support me on it when I am really not producing at a full schedule. So I fully acknowledge that. So what I have done, and what will commence beginning in January 2020, regardless of what YouTube and the FTC and all that malarkey does to toy reviewers in general, not that I think it's going to do anything now, what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to let you guys on my Patreon hold me accountable. See, the last year, like, I went on a hiatus when my family's health took a bad decline. We thought we were going to have to hold a funeral, which thankfully we did not have to hold. By the time that was in the clear, I had the worst heartache of my life, and that's about 6 months of the worst depression I've ever had. You know, things started turning around, but it is really hard to find that old person I used to be back when, you know, I was really eager to talk and loved producing all the videos for you guys. It's hard to get that back into that mindset when you go through so much just mental turmoil. I'm not making excuses for why my production has been so bad, but you know, I just want you to know it's not just me slacking off or just like milking everyone's generosity while I just sat at home eating donuts or something. I am like, it wasn't as simple as that. I don't want anyone to think that. So, as I said, I want to use Patreon so that you guys can hold me accountable for producing videos for you. I've gone ahead and I've reworked my Patreon goals because I wasn't really meeting any of the goals, so I hope nobody was contributing to push toward one of them. They weren't that great in the first place. But the way it works now is, depending on how much money the Patreon campaign brings in, that's how much video I produce every single month. You know, and that's about as simple as a video producer Patreon can get. So, as of this recording, assuming that it stays at the level it is now, we're just a hair under the $200 level, which, hang on, I should have pulled this up because I wrote this, but I didn't memorize this, which, see, yeah, 200, that is going to be a minimum 2 reviews a week. So probably like a Monday and Friday review, maybe something like that. And they'd be like, so 2 random reviews a week minimum. If I was making $200 a month on my Patreon, then that's 2 videos a week minimum, 8 videos a week or a month minimum. And that's something you guys can hold me to. If I'm not producing at that level, feel free to take your patronage away. If you want to see my production go up, or you think that I deserve that little bit for keeping up with a good production schedule, or if I've successfully held up a good production schedule and you think I deserve a little bit more, feel free to raise it, or feel free to share my Patreon to someone you think would be willing to chip in. So basically, what you guys want me... So basically, you light a fire under my ass. The long and short of it. So that way, you guys hold me directly responsible for getting a certain level of content out to you. It's the basis of this is at the $400 level, which guarantees 3 reviews a week plus a video on the weekend. Because 400 was the highest my Patreon was ever at, and 4 videos a week was my highest production level. So that is what you guys, that's what I've set the bar at. That's how I've determined everything above and below it. So if the Patreon gets as high as it used to be, the production schedule gets as high as it used to be. Basically, getting back to the point both of them were at. And yes, there are stuff higher than that. At $500 a month, I guarantee a monthly Plastic Addict. That is to say, these are all minimums. It doesn't mean I'm holding Plastic Addict hostage. I actually have one I want to get out before the end of the year that I'm actually really excited for. And the extra videos are kind of going to be all over the place. It's going to be, sometimes it'll be a TJ review, which I've got one set for Thanksgiving if, fingers crossed, everything works out and I don't get any more production delays. And it could be like special vlogs, because I've had like lots of ideas for things in my head over a lot of different things. Kamen Rider as well. We could do Kamen Rider toy reviews on the weekend, things like that. Or we just sit down and talk about something. It might just be like something I want to know from you guys, and I'll just sit here and talk a subject. It'll be different things, and hopefully it'll be like fun things on the weekend. You never know exactly what it's going to be, but it will be something every weekend if we hit that point in the Patreon. So that is how you guys can hold me accountable from now on. I am at your mercy as far as the Patreon campaign goes. Also, I want to emphasize, even if it's only $1 a month, even if that's all you can spare, or whatever, or for whatever reason your patronage is that low, it still makes a difference. You'll find that I've also instituted what I call the Almighty Dollar campaign, because I want to emphasize that the most successful Patreons in the world rely on their $1 patrons. So there is also a second set of goals in the About section of my Patreon for a streaming schedule. So, like, right now I think it starts at 25 patrons, means a monthly live stream, and that goes up to like if that goes up to like 500 patrons, then that's like 3 live streams plus an interactive one every month. Things like that. So like if you want even more, so like the dollar amount itself determines the video review output, and then the number of people who are willing to sign up determines the streaming output. So again, whatever level of content you guys want, that is all at your mercy, and if I don't hold up to it, feel free to take it away. So that is all, that is how you guys get to hold me accountable. All of that starts in January. Hopefully, everything stays calm and level heads prevail, and we can stop talking about all this internet drama long enough for December to be really good, and hopefully the kind of month that puts a little bit of faith back in the viewers that I know I've lost some faith from. So I hope to prove myself again to you guys before this new iteration of my Patreon campaign begins. Because for all I know, I'm going to have to hit the ground running on 3 reviews a week as soon as January starts. And if you guys want to see that, if enough of you pitch in to actually make that happen, then I will put in the work for you. I promise you that. No more excuses, no more slacking off. I want you guys to push me to be as good as I can be, because that's what you always used to do, and that's what you can do now. Far more directly. So, I think that is it for this vlog. Thank you for listening for so long. Thank you for the drama. I am sorry for anyone I might have frightened or freaked out, because all of us were freaking out. But honestly, between the FTC's clarification, the posts from Erin, and my own personal contact to YouTube over this, I genuinely believe that unless you're making a video that is stupidly obviously for kids and lying about it, I think you're fine. I honestly think this isn't the destruction of the internet. We're going to be okay. You know, everyone can calm down, come out of your bunkers. The sky is still blue. The birds are still singing. The radioactive monster is still devastating Japan. But, you know, that's just the kind of thing that happens every day, regardless of what happens on the internet. So, we can all just relax. I think things will be fine. Hopefully. Who knows?